Hello, I'm Johnny. I've been living in Bilbao for 16 years now, but I'm originally from Durham City. I've been supporting Sunderland for over 40 years. I'm proud to be a member of the Bilbao Black Cats. Away, lads.
And it goes. It's not good, that, folks. Oh, Melier, foot!
Hi Claire, can you play Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division for my friend Ellen Drode? It's one of their favourite songs and I know it would make their day with absolute pleasure. Mike, for you and for Ellen, it's Joy Division to kickstart this evening's Absolute Radio Refresher.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland AFC. My name is Lee Thirkell. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and today we've got an all-American affair, all-North American affair with the NASA branch. I'm joined by Justin Warner from Ontario in Canada. Good morning to you, Justin.
Howdy, Lee.
And I'm also joined by our own Samson the Cat, Anthony Stephenson, who's in Wyoming in USA. Morning to you, Anthony.
Good morning, mate.
All right, so we've had 3 games in the space of a week. We lost against Watford, we bounced back against Derby, and we got a last-ditch draw against Leeds on Friday night. Pretty happy, no, Justin?
Can't complain, to be honest. I would have taken a point against Leeds before the game, and I would have taken a point against Leeds in the 96th minute. So yeah, happy with that one. And yeah, the Derby result was a workmanlike performance. I mean, nothing outstanding there. I think they made it hard for us, but yeah, happy to pick up the 3 points.
Yeah, and Anthony, the most important thing is that we're still top of the league going national break. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's perfect, mate. Like going in on all fronts, getting, we'll take 4 points from those last couple of games, and then going into the an international break. As much as we hate going into them, I think it's like quite good timing for us to get. We've got some injuries and let's get them back. So going into that break, I'll take 4 points from the last two games, especially after what happened on Friday night.
Yeah, and Justin, the thing that I've noticed is that we played the same starting 11 for those 3 games. So I think we did visibly tire and logically tire against Leeds. I think second half we looked sluggish, but we still battled. Were you surprised that he didn't make any other changes?
Well, I mean, Leeds also played on Tuesday night, so it wasn't just us. But yeah, I was more surprised that he didn't make earlier changes against Derby when the game was already won. To keep players fresh for Friday, because that was going to be the bigger test of the two. Not necessarily surprised that he didn't make changes to the starting 11. I thought maybe if there was going to be a game that we would change it up, it would be the Derby game to try and keep players fresh. But again, the old adage of not changing a winning team. Although on Tuesday he didn't change a losing team, so. Yeah, he obviously has in his mind his preferred starting 11, and looks like he's going to try and stick with that as much as he can.
Yeah. And anyway, we've got a new light show at the Stadium of Light. I don't know if you saw it. Anth, what are your thoughts on that?
To be fair, mate, I'm not honestly a fan. I'm old school. The atmosphere should be brought by the fans, not the equipment that we have at the stadium, especially for a big match. I mean, the atmosphere the first 15, 20 minutes against Leeds was fantastic, and that's what it should be. It's something to do, around Dance of the Lights and all of that stuff, and when all that kicks in, but I don't think it should be a regular thing. It's not my cup of tea, mate.
Yeah, all right. Justin, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have the equipment to be able to do that. I mean, it's nice that we've spent the money on the upgraded light system. It's nice that we've got a PA system that you can actually hear now. But yeah, I'm a bit like Anthem. I don't really see the need for it too much. It might be good for the concerts and stuff when they come to the stadium, but not on a match day for me.
Well, I think it started 15 minutes before the kickoff, didn't it, on the Derby game? I don't know if it was the same with the Leeds game, but I was thinking it was like way too long, like to have that light show for 15
Yeah.
minutes. What I did like though, I do like the foghorn. And if you put the foghorn and the lights go out and then you put Dance of the Nights on and then you do the light show for a couple of minutes, I think that's probably doable. But anything longer than that, I think yeah, it just gets a bit annoying. All right then. So first of all, we had the Derby match. It was a 2-0 win. I think it was pretty comfortable, wasn't it, Anth?
It was straightforward, mate. I think, Derby came out of the blocks pretty quick and, looked the better team in the first 10, 15 minutes. But I think after that, it was pretty comfortable with us, especially after we went 1-0 up. It didn't look like we were going to concede. We were pretty solid again. And it was probably, out of everything that we've done so far this year, it was probably a comfortable 2-0 win, and it didn't look like it was going to go any other way, especially after we scored.
Yeah, and then Justin Job scored an absolute corker, which we'll get onto the Leeds game in a minute. But yeah, I'd like to see him do that a bit more. Pick up the ball in that kind of area and just like let rip.
Yeah, I mean, he said himself in the post game that he feels like he's got to bring that to his game. He's got to contribute with more goals. And yeah, I wouldn't be averse to the odd 25-yard thunder bastard going in. So yeah, more power to his legs.
Yeah, and Wilson Isidore then he got his first goal at Watford last week, and he scored quite a similar goal against Derby. Like it came across the defender. That's something I haven't seen for a forward since like Ross Stewart days, isn't it? Like Ant.
No, mate, he's when we signed him, it was like he can play up front, but his best position's out wide. But he's got that movement in the box, and those couple of goals that he scored for us have actually really shown that. The thing I love about him is we've had a lot of players over the last, number of years where they haven't cared about being here. And he really seems like he loves being here. And it's shown in his game and the way he reacts, even when other people score. And he's got this infectious personality. And I think the fans are like falling in love with him already. And if he keeps scoring like that, I think there's going to be, an old adage to the old rule, don't fall in love with a lone player. And I think we could end up doing that again.
Yeah, but I think he's probably going to come permanently. I'd say no, if he has a good season. I think there's an obligation or some kind of right to buy. I'm not sure
I think
about
there's
that.
a chance. Yeah, I think there's a chance that that's going to happen. And it sounds like he's already pushing for it. So, keep going how he started and let's see where the season ends. And if he comes, and I think we'll be happy about it.
Yeah. Go on, Justin.
Yeah, I think we have an option to buy. I don't think it's mandatory, but yeah, at the moment, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't exercise that option. Yeah, basically agree with everything Ant said. It's nice to have a player who has that connection with the club already, with the fans already, and the fact that he's popping the goals in as well is a bonus. I think we spoke before on one of the previous pods about the need to sort of understand the best way to bring him into the game, and I think he is that sort of player who will thrive off balls into the channel and sort of that ability to use his pace to cut across defenders and nick the ball ahead of them. Yeah, early signs definitely positive.
He does remind me a bit of Ross Stewart because he is a bit of a lanky guy and he does get across the defender and he does make those runs in the channels. And Ross Stewart did that a lot for us, stretch defenses. And I think he's just got that bit more knack in front of goal than Mayenda has. I think Mayenda's still a bit raw. So I think I would still go for Isidore when Mayenda's fit. I don't know what you think about that, Ant.
Yeah, I think that I'd agree with that, mate. If he's scoring goals, keep him in the team. And you're right about Mayenda. He's extremely raw, and I think the more he's played, the better he's looked, and especially he's got raw pace as well. But Isidore's got that little bit of extra nous, a little bit of knowledge in and around the box. The only thing I would like to do is instead of seeing we've seen it a lot more from Patrick Roberts, he's gone on his right foot. I didn't think he actually had one. and he's putting balls in the box. I think we need to mix that up with, on the other side, with Mundell as well. If Mundell, instead of going trying to cut inside on his right all the time, he needs to start cutting on his left and drive those balls in the box for Isidore, who can make those runs, and I think we'll create a lot more chances from that. So I think we just need to be a little bit more, experimental in the final third, and get some more extra goals from Isidore.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a big goal threat, isn't he? Justin, so there was calls for Dan Neil to maybe be dropped against Derby and bring Alan Brown in. Lebris kept faith with him, and I think he kind of repaid it because he didn't have a brilliant game, but he had a much improved game, I think.
Yeah, it was a 6 or a 7 out of 10, wasn't it? Rather than probably the 4 or 5 that he had against Watford. I think that that's a facet of the position that he's being asked to play. It's not necessarily an eye-catching one. He sort of drops into the defensive back line to help out. He obviously helps bring the ball out of defence through the midfield. But he's not going to be making those long-busting 30, 40-yard runs with the ball. Other than the air shot that he had the other game on the edge of the penalty area, he's not going to feature around the penalty area very much. In his position, it very much is a holding defensive one. So it was better. Derby were no great shakes. I think the sort of wind went out of their sails when we scored the first goal, and it was pretty straightforward from then on. But Dan Neil had a much more comfortable game.
Yeah, I think we didn't really get out of second gear against Derby. It was just a routine win, as Anne said before. All right, then, Anne, so on to the Leeds game. It's always a big match, isn't it, against Dirty Leeds? There's a lot of history there. We were first, I think they were fifth. So it was probably our second biggest challenge of the season, or third maybe, if you consider Middlesbrough and Burnley games. Were you nervous beforehand?
A little bit. Probably, yeah. You always are against Leeds because you never know how they're going to go. Last year we were undefeated against them, but they're a good team. They're going to be there or thereabouts as well. It's going to be, probably 1 from 8, or 2 from 8 from the top 2 right now because there's a lot of results. But you're always going to feel that way about Leeds. I've went to Leeds games as a kid, and you've came away from Ellen Road and you freaking fear for your life and. But Leeds are a decent team. The way we started in the game was just, it set us up for something really special. And then when we scored, we just kind of took our foot off the pedal. But yeah, when Leeds show up, it's going to be a big game. They bring numbers. We had a big crowd. It's always going to be a big match against Leeds.
Yeah, and what's more, Justin, is that I saw a tweet on X. It was their squad, the price that it was worth was 90 million compared to ours, which was 2.5 million.
Yeah.
That's just complete madness.
They're a former Premier League team, aren't they? There's no other way to look at it. They obviously lost some players over the summer, but they're still a more than adequate side, and a lot of pace and strength in the side as well, which is always a worry for us. O'Nien and Mepham aren't necessarily the fastest, and I think Sirkin and Hume had their hands a bit full for most of the 90 minutes with the wingers. So it was similar to Anthem. Was I wouldn't say it wasn't Newcastle Derby nervous, but it was you knew it was a big game coming up. Yeah.
And as Anne said, after the first 10 minutes, we got after a flying start. No, I think Job had a very good chance after 4 or 5 minutes where I think he skied it over the bar, but he was getting into that position I think he had 3 chances in the game where he got into that position, and I think one of them went over the bar, one of them went to the right, and one of them got deflected. So I think if he can get into that position more often and he improves his finishing, he's going to get 10 goals at least. But yeah, Anne. What happened then after we scored the goal? Because you did mention we did just sit back. Was it just because of Leeds just pulled the socks up and got on with it, or did we just retreat?
I think it was a bit of both, mate. I think Leeds knew they had to step up. They're not going to take anything, but we just seemed to take our foot off the gas completely. First 10, 15 minutes, our movement and passing in and around the final third was fantastic. You know, the link up between Roberts and Hume, and even like through the midfield, as you said, with Bellingham getting involved, was fantastic. And then it stopped. You know, we slowed the game down, which suited Leeds because they were able to pick up the tempo and start coming at us again. And they had probably like a 30, 25-minute, 30 spell where I thought they were going to steamroll us. And then we finished the half strong again.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those where I think if we continued the press that we had, the movement, the passing, it could have been a different game. But I think, we pulled literally our foot off the gas and slowed we're down.
Yeah, it was good build-up play, wasn't it? Because it was nice 1-2 touch passing between I think it was Neil, Neil, Robertson, Hume, but we had like men in the box, which is something that we haven't done in previous seasons. We've always been like isolated, but you saw like Sirkin getting in the shot at the back post, and then he got rigged like on the bottom of the goal line to tap it in. We need to see more of that, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that's been lacking for a good year or more. Is getting numbers in the box. I think Isidore brings that because he sort of helps pull the attacking midfielders along with him, with his movement and sort of his ability to find space. And it was nice to see that we actually seemed to carry a bit of a threat from set pieces as well. I mean, eventually somebody will work out that the ball's going to Sirkin at the back post and he's going to try and nod it back across for somebody to tap in. But yeah, they seem to be working pretty well. There were only a couple of fluffed lines on some set pieces in the game, but for the most part, that carried a threat. And yeah, the triangles that Lebris is supposedly famous for in France seemed to be working in attack. I think on the other side, I think having those numbers pushing forward allowed Leeds to counter us. And Lebris himself said that he felt that he'd set up the wrong defensive shape for that. You could see that Dan Neil was almost hell-bent on playing as a sweeper. So we had 5 at the back, which meant we were very much short on numbers in midfield. And I think that was where a lot of the threat that Leeds had for that sort of 20, 25-minute spell came from. They just basically poured through midfield, and there was just no stopping them until they got to the edge of our penalty area and sort of then matched up against our numbers. And fortunately, Lebris spotted that was a problem and made changes, and we went back to more of a 4-4-2 out of possession, and that kind of helped to block up some of the holes in the midfield. But yeah, I mean, you're always going to have that problem when you're pouring forward in attack as you're opening up on the counter. And Leeds, unfortunately for us, a very good counter-attacking side, and you could kind of say pretty much both of their goals came from those counter-attacks.
Yeah, it's like after 25 minutes, like we were defending like on the edge of our box, and like you'd normally expect that at the end of the game when you're holding on for a win. But after 25 minutes defending that deep and eventually, the goal came. But I mean, I think it was just like 3 passes, wasn't it? It was 3 passes. We had a throw in, Dennis Circle on the left-hand side, threw it in. They took possession, and within 3 passes, I think Nonto knocks it in for Pirro, who's offside, I think. And it was just so easy, wasn't it?
It was the transition from like getting the ball back to going forward is quick. And I think that's one thing they looked at trying to do with us, because there's been a couple of times this year when we've looked like we've tried to push forward and we've been caught short at the back, and we've been a little short. But yeah, it was rapid. It was get the ball forward, let's get numbers up. And for those 25, 30 minutes in the first half, as I said a little while ago, I thought it was going to be all Leeds, but yeah, it was get the ball forward quick. They were kind of almost missing out most of their midfield for parts of the first half. Just to get the ball out wide or get it into the front, the guy up front. So it was nervy times towards the end of that first half. I know that.
Yeah, and then second half came. I think we played brighter. We had some good chances. Just like our finishing was quite poor. I mean, I think someone said we didn't have any shots on target in the second half, but we did have plenty of attempts. I mean, Bellingham had 2, Hume had 1 where he just snatched at it. So I think finishing does need to improve. But the second goal for Leeds, Justin, was quite disappointing because I think again, it came from like the corner of their half when they got a free kick and should have been a throw in.
Yeah.
But then Nonto picks the ball up and he's got four of our players around him, and he just takes them out, knocks it wide, and then we're kind of chasing back, aren't we? I mean, I think it's like Sirkin or Neil makes a last ditch challenge and he doesn't get anywhere near him, and it was just so easy that second goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was just really, I don't know whether heads dropped or we sort of took our eye off the ball because we, like you say, Leeds should have had a throw in, not a free kick. They just moved the ball up quickly. Yeah, we looked like we had numbers to close it down, but they just got basically sucked in. The ball was played out left. I think it was Hume that made the diving tackle that missed. And yeah, I mean, sort of decent finish, but yeah, very much you'd think very much avoidable and something that Labrice would be looking at with the team
Yeah.
sort of in the coming week.
Bit disappointing about '09. He could have done better. Maybe it's on the line, or it's just off balance, or
It was a weird one, wasn't it? It sort of looked like he actually lifted his leg to get it out of the way of the shot, but I think he was just off balance, to be honest. And I think he was kind of in Patterson's eye line as well, which sort of had he not been there, Patterson may have made the save as well. But yeah, it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? It's ball was in the back of the net before we knew it. So yeah,
yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah. And we haven't been making many subs, have we not? I mean, do you think that's because Labrice doesn't really trust his bench at the minute? It's a bit weak because of the injuries that we got.
I think so, yeah. I honestly think he's got probably two or three that he can go to on the bench and not even, give anybody else a chance. But I mean, honestly, towards the end of that game, mate, we were out on our feet. We were exhausted, and it was the right time. And it's even if it's like completely trust them. Sometimes somebody that hasn't played, we've got players on the bench that haven't even stepped on foot onto the park this year.
Yeah,
and it's one of those where I know we've got some serious issues with injuries right now, and when that gets better, but it's one of those where if they're on the bench, they're there for a reason. And if it's just to give us a bit of extra energy, we needed it. And yeah, you're right. It's just we're not using enough subs right now, especially with all the rules that's been introduced the last few years about how many subs you can actually use now. And we had Connolly on the bench, but he said he wasn't going to use him. So why was he there?
yeah.
Last 10, 15 minutes, just throw him on. You never know. I mean, the way the game ended, we never expected, but if he's on the bench, why is he not even getting considered to be used? And that's the biggest puzzle for me.
Yeah, I made this point on social media that I remember when Alex Neil in the playoff final against Chef Wed, like people were calling to bring on subs, and he said that if I'd have brought on subs, it would have diluted the quality that was already on the pitch. And I think that if I'd have made subs, we wouldn't have had a chance. And I think that's kind of the case now, isn't it? Because you've got Roos in there, and do you think is Roosen going to be that person to give you that moment? And I just don't think he is at the minute. Just don't. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, look at the bench. I mean, obviously bought Brown and Watson on. He bought, I think, Roosen didn't come on against Leeds, did he? Yeah, Abdullah Barr's been very hit and miss. But yeah, I want to say it's paper thin, really, isn't it? I mean, we'd have been in trouble if anybody in defence got injured or had to go off. Didn't really have anybody other than Brown in midfield. I mean, Alexic could have come in, but yeah, I think we're desperately short of numbers at the moment. So international breaks probably come at a good time for us.
Yeah. And are you disappointed that Alexic hasn't been given a chance yet? Or do you think it's like looking after him because he's only 18, new country, clearly doesn't speak the language? Do you think he's being eased in?
I think it's all of the above, mate. Yeah, I think it's everything new to him, away from family. Obviously, he doesn't speak the language, as you said. Probably a different style of football to what he's used to. And obviously a higher level as well, and being so young. So I think his chances will come. I think you'll start to see, if we play, some lesser teams and we're doing all right, he'll probably start getting like 10, 15-minute appearances down the road this year. But I don't think his time is right now. I think it's just because we've been short, and that's what they've just been filling the bench with. I think if we had a full squad of everybody injury-free, I don't think you'd be anywhere near the bench right now.
Yeah. Right though, Justin, we're getting to the moment of truth. So it's like 95 minutes gone. We get a free kick. Anthony Patterson goes up. I'm resigned to losing, but I'm not disappointed because I thought the lads gave it a good go after the week. So I was just like, okay, whatever happens, it happens. Nobody could have expected that, could they?
No, basically no. Anyway, and it wasn't even a particularly good ball in from Patterson. I mean, he didn't even really get to the edge of the penalty area, which is all you can ask for from a goalkeeper when they take a long one like that one. It's just get it to the edge of the box and see what happens. Job, I think, got there the flick on. Brown just basically just flicked his foot at it. It apparently took I think it's been given as an own goal now, off was it Firpo? Picked up a bit of spin as it did, and then allegedly hit a divot in the middle of the penalty area that was so bad that it caused the ball to spin past Meslier. And yeah, I mean, my kid's a goalkeeper, so I'm sort of the biggest member of the goalkeeper union usually, but yeah, that was an awful piece of goalkeeping. I mean, take the ball on the full, don't allow it to bounce, and get your body behind it. And he did none of those things. And yeah, thankfully for us, it went in. And yeah, the scenes afterwards were just crazy.
Yeah, I can't see though how it's deviated. That it just looks like it just runs, I don't know, quickly because of the skidded surface. I don't know. Ant?
When you look at the ball, mate, it kind of like there's a lot of spin on it, and then when it hits the ground, the spin just kind of seems to stop. So where the keeper thinks it's going to bounce to, just doesn't seem to happen, and where he thinks it's going to come back into his body, it just seems to continue on. And like it is a weird bounce, but I think it's because of the spins just completely took off the ball after it hits the ground. But as Justin said, mate, it's basic goalkeeping. Just get your body behind the ball, block it. Just anything on it is the secret. I coached for 20 odd years, and you know it doesn't matter if you can't catch it. There was nobody within 5 yards of him. Just got your body there, and the game's over. But I had the remote control in my hand. I was like getting ready to go and watch my daughter's volleyball game. And I was like, after the free kick from Pato was like looped up in the air, and then like the touch up in the air, and I'm just like, F this. And then I was ready for the final whistle with the remote in my hand. And then I'm just sitting there. My wife's like, I didn't even celebrate because I was like still trying to figure out if it counted. And it was the weirdest ending to a game probably we've had in a long, long time.
But it was a good ending, and like the reactions of Leeds fans in the stand and YouTube. I don't know if you've seen the videos on social media where they're all laying because it's gone to the keeper, and then all of a sudden it's got the hands in the head. Oh, it's just hilarious. Yeah, I think there's two things, isn't it? There's like he's anticipating the ball coming, but I think he's also got his eye on Isidore, who's kind of closing in as well. So, but yeah, I'd be investigating Meslier for match fixing, I reckon. So yeah, I think overall, I think we did deserve a point. Would you say that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were good value. I mean, as Anne said, I mean we had some chances in the second half. I think the worry for me really was more the fact that they were mainly long distance shots. We didn't really work the ball into the box particularly well. But yeah, I mean, Leeds. I think if Leeds had got a third goal, we would have struggled to get back into the game. But one goal difference, it was always there for us. And yeah, we got that bit of luck right at the end. But I think overall we were reasonable value for the point.
Yeah, Ant, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, mate. Both teams had big spells. You know, I think we were more consistently in the game in the second half, where after Leeds scored, we kind of took our foot off. But yeah, a point is Justin said it at the start. We'll take a point against Leeds, and we'll move on into the international break. But yeah, I think we deserve the point.
Yeah. All right then. Moving on then, we're going to talk about some individuals. Luke O'Nien, Justin. I think he's been class this season, and I think his reading of the game and his composure on the ball is just outstanding.
he's obviously been working on it a lot. He's cut out a lot of the like stupid positional mistakes that he was bringing last season. He's cut out some of the silly little tugs and pulls on players that we were worried he was never going to get away with this season. So yeah, I think he's key to our ability to bring the ball out of defence. Some of the balls that he plays out are outrageous.
Especially with his left,
Especially with
foot.
his left foot, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, he's been certainly one of the players of the season so far for us.
Yeah. And do you think it's like because he's not team captain anymore, it's like taking that little bit of pressure off him that he can focus on his own game rather than like the whole team?
I think he's just getting settled in, mate, to be fair. He's getting more, I think he's getting worked on. I think Labrie is actually working with players more as an individual and actually getting, really into their roles with everybody in the team. Obviously, we've got a couple of issues where everybody's not knowing it, but there was always that hold your breath moment with Luke, when the ball come in the air or he was trying to clear it and like spoon it with the outside of his foot. And when you sent me the message of like what we're going to chat about today, it was what about Luke 09? And obviously he's been with us for a long time now. I think it's 7 years now. And who is Luke 09? It was like the fear of like he'll do a job, but now he's getting composed. He's the old head of the team. And I think if the weirdest things to say, I think he's like this generation's Kevin Ball. He's a Southern lad who gives his all for our club and he'll do anything for it. And it shows. I mean, his celebration at the end when we scored was fantastic. The dive across the players, in with the fans as well. And just shows you who he is and what he does and what he loves for this club. But yeah, I think he's just grown as a player, mate. And it's, the holding your breath moments with Luke have really, really cut down this year. There's still a couple. It's still Luke 09, but he's really developed his position. And, as it was, he was never a centre-half. And he's now considered a starting centre-half.
Yeah. And his partnership with Meppen is starting to look okay, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, and I was hesitating there to say his importance for bringing the ball out because Meppen's pretty useful on the ball as well. So it's nice to have two ball-playing centre backs. But yeah, they seem to have a decent understanding of where each other should be. I mean, the number of blocks that both of them have been putting in the last couple of games, they really both have been putting their body on the line to keep the lads in the games. So yeah, it's looking good going forward. Struggle to see how Dan Ballard gets in the team, to be honest.
Yeah, or Alyssa when he gets back. Yeah,
if he gets back fit from Northern Ireland, but yeah, good problem to have.
Yeah. And Justin, continuing with that, we'll go to Job now. Like last year, Job came, a lot of pressure on him. He was 17, the younger brother of Jude. I think last year he was playing the wrong position. He was playing like number 10. He was playing like a false 9. This season, I reckon that he's in the right position, and there seems to be that less pressure on him to do well because now he's just flawless every game. I think he's really smooth. What have you made of the difference between last season and this season with Job?
Yeah, I think his awareness on the ball's really improved. I think last season he was getting caught in possession. A lot of the time you'd see him do those sort of little spins on the ball and he'd just get knocked off. I don't know if that's, excuse me, if that's he's a little bit stronger, maybe just a little bit wiser, a little bit more savvy. But he doesn't seem to be getting caught in possession anywhere near as much as he was last year. Is picking the right moments to make his passes. Bring players like Mundle in, and I think he's playing on the left side of midfield. So between him and Sirkin and Mundle, I think they're playing sort of good triangles up that side. And yeah, again has been one of the players of the season for me. Really sort of key to the way the team's playing.
Yeah, and I think that he's playing as Job rather than Jude Bellingham's younger brother, and that's helping a lot, isn't it, to take away the pressure?
Yeah, and he does it. He said it himself, and that's why he's got his first name on the back of his shirt. He loves his brother. We've seen the videos and all that stuff, but he wants to be known as his self. And it showed that this year. Everything you guys pointed on, his composure on the ball. He's a young laddie. That boy is strong as an ox, and his use of his body to protect the ball and turn away from pressure and feed it out to the flanks has been phenomenal this year. And he took a lot of grief last year, which a lot of players did. But as I said, he's such a young lad. But the composure now and is just astronomical. And if, as we said, if we can start getting some extra goals back in like he did last year without playing up top or the false nine, he's going to have a fantastic season. And I think he can get into double digits easily this year, as long as he arrives at the right time.
Yeah. All right, then. What I thought we'd do is have a little review. I think we've played 9 games and give some ratings to the players who have figured the most. So, Justin, I'll start with you. What would you give Anthony Patterson out of 10 for the start of the season so far?
As I mentioned, member of the goalkeeper union, should probably, I don't know, 6.5, 7. He's not really cost us any games. He had a couple of iffy ones against Plymouth. Great shot stopper. He's getting significantly better on crosses and commanding his box. It's just his distribution brings the score down a little bit. I think he's fine on the short passes out of defence. The longer balls still a little bit lacking, and I think just brings us under pressure at the wrong time when he gives the ball away there. So yeah, sort of 6.5, 7 for me.
All right, Trey Hume, Anth.
Give me an 8. Solid, committed every game. He doesn't shirk a challenge, and his link up with Roberts right now is even better. So they're getting, those two are interchanging. They're seeing that with the midfield joining in, but he gives everything to the cause. Not perfect, but he's had a good, solid season. So a solid 8 for me.
Yeah, okay. 09 and Mepham, Justin.
I think they're 8s as well, probably.
Yeah.
As I said before, just their ability to bring the ball out of defence. The fact that we until the Leeds game hadn't conceded at home. I think we probably have one of the tightest defences in the division, and that's a lot down to the back four. So yeah, 8s for me.
All right, Dennis Sirkin, Anth.
9. I absolutely love Sirkin, mate. I absolutely adore the lad. He's had a couple of lapses in positional sense this year, especially the last few games. But his attacking prowess is up there right now, and he's getting in the box a lot. As we said earlier about getting people in the box, he's one of them, and he's our left fullback, and he's in the box a lot. And I absolutely love Sirkin. He absolutely loves being here as well. So good old 9.
Yeah, I'll do Job and Riggy. I would say 8.5. I think they've both been fantastic. Justin, Dan Neil.
Yeah, a bit of a hard one, this one. I would probably just give him a 6, to be honest, with where he is. I think he's learning a new position. He's not a natural defensive midfielder. I think he has gone missing a little bit in some games. He's been caught in possession a little bit too much in games. You could see the beginning of the Leeds game where he was having to drop back, really didn't know where he was supposed to be or who he was supposed to pick up. So yeah, he's one of the weaker performers this season so far. Hopefully, again with the international break and a bit of work on it, he can pick up, because I think we all know there's a great player in there. It's just I think he's had a lot to take on, along with the team leadership as well. So yeah, hoping for better.
Right. Well, we're almost out of time, but we've got Patrick Roberts, Mayenda, and Mundell and Isidore. Those are for you, Anth. What do you reckon?
I'd give them all a solid 8 amongst them all, mate. They're all attacking prowess has been brilliant. They're going forward. The link-up play has been fantastic. We're creating chances with them. Mundell's been a revelation since he came in for when Clark left. Mundell's had a couple of goals. Probably should have had a couple more, but solid 8s across the board for the front four.
Absolutely. And we're going to the national break, top of the league. Next game is Hull on the 20th of October. Anthony, Justin, thanks for your time today, and I'll see you next time, okay? Enjoy the break, mates.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, I'm called Morten. I'm from Germany, and I've supported Sunderland since 2013. Sunderland take over everywhere we go.